Look at this, guys. My marigolds are still going strong, and here we are, the 3rd week of October. They're really wonderful plants you can count on throughout the heat of the summer and then long into the fall. So I'm going to make sure that I have a lot of marigolds next year too. But I wanted to show you what I've got in my polytunnel so far. I have a few of my beets that I haven't planted out yet. Just a few little seedlings there. So I have to find a space for them in the garden. But my polytunnel, all of the cacti and succulents have been moved inside. And right now I'm using it as a season extender. And I have a few pots of winter greens. And I wanted to show you how those were doing. I'm trying to extend the season on this parsley. This is a perennial, so I do expect that it will die back when it gets really cold, but that should flush back up back in the spring. So I'm just really trying to extend the season on that one, and it's just delicious. I grew it from seed. And then I have a few small arugula seedlings here, which are starting to put on a little size, and those are also supposed to be pretty cold hardy. And the reason I brought them all in here, I do have things planted in my garden, but they say that a polytunnel is usually about 1 zone warmer than the zone you're in. So just by letting the sunlight come in and heat up a polytunnel gives you a little extra heat for your plants, so it doesn't quite get down to those cold temperatures. So we'll see. This is all a new experiment for me. I've never really grown in pots in my polytunnel during the cold season, but I thought it was worth a try, and I do have a couple of these varieties also planted outside, so it can't hurt to have these in all different conditions and see what works. Kind of a sure way of getting a few greens over the winter. But my arugula are just starting to put on size, and this is my red Russian kale. It's a curly kale. It's got gorgeous leaves. Look at those leaves. But I grew these from seeds. These are Baker Creek seeds, and they're just starting to put on some size, so I think they're happy in here. I have a few green onions I planted from the grocery store, and those do fine out in the winter time too, but I think they'll do even better here in the greenhouse. And then I have a few kind of scraggly looking spinach, so I'm hoping they put on some size and we're able to cut off of that this winter. We'll see. But this is a quite sunny in the morning. And then I brought in my purple fountain grass. They were already in pots, and these are not hardy to my area, but I thought if maybe I cut them back and mulched them up really well and brought them into the polytunnel, maybe I could get them to survive so I can put them back out in the spring. So that's a complete experiment, and I do expect to be cutting those back in a couple of weeks. And then back here, I dug up all my peppers. We had a couple of cold nights, and I got worried I was going to lose a lot of my bell pepper babies. But look how cute these are. Look at the size of this one. This is just adorable, but it's a perfect little pepper. And I thought, well, if I bring it in here and protect it from any frosts that will be coming in the next couple weeks, maybe some of these babies will mature, and I'll get maybe 6 more peppers. And actually it's putting out more flowers and more peppers. So we'll see. We'll see how long it lasts. I mean, it does get cold in here, but it's certainly warmer in here than it is out in the garden. So guys, so far that's what I have in my polytunnel. And I'm going to give that a go. I have planted some other winter crops, and I'll just show you those that are outside. Okay, my very long rustic bed here is just filled with beans. This is a nitrogen fix before the winter sets in, and all this foliage is going to die back and create a mulch for some of the perennial plants that are in there. And I have a few leftover zinnias popping up, but I'm not sure that they're going to bloom before the frost. But let me show you what I have over here. I did plant some garlic bulbs throughout, which hopefully I can harvest next summer. And here I have turnips. I have little baby seedlings that I just popped in there. They're very tiny, and I expect they'll do well, but they're a wonderful, easy crop to put in. The other thing is, on this side I had some winter rye, and I had, I think, some daikon radish. It was just kind of a mix, some cowpeas, but there's lots of things coming up here that was a winter cover crop. Kind of on this quarter of the bed. I just tossed some seeds out. So I have some of those growing. I'll have daikon radish and some turnips, assuming these all make it. And then over here I have quite a few things. I did lemon balm, which I expect will die back for the winter, but it really filled in so well just from seedlings I planted. So that'll come back in the spring. But here's more daikon radish, and they've really put on a lot of size. Here is some pak choi over here. And throughout, I sort of spread it all throughout here. My corn crop was a complete failure. I planted it too late, and I only planted about 6 or 7 plants. So, you know, not everything goes as planned. These are actually rudbeckia, which will come back next year. I expect they'll die back in the cold and come back, but they're going to be, oh, no, they're gloriosa daisies. So I don't know if that's rudbeckia or not. But those will come back next year. But I have more daikon radish here, and I planted really tiny seedlings over here in between my herbs, just of the same red curly kale from Baker's Creek. So I have more of the kale out here, a little bit in that pot over there. But I've just got things kind of tucked in everywhere, guys. I've got the Chinese cabbage, the pak choi, the daikon radishes, and a couple of rutabagas, which I love in soup. I think this might be one. This is one too. I had put them in about a month ago and the slugs ate them, but a few of them are bouncing back, and I have one back here. It's very hard to see these things, but there's one back there. So I expect I'll have rutabaga, daikon radish, turnips, and a few greens. We'll see. And then over here in my compost, this was one that was further along. I planted some pak choi on top of my compost. I put dirt on top of the compost I was making and just plugged in these little seedlings I started about a month ago. And hopefully those will just grow right from the top of the compost. We'll see. That's an experiment. So guys, that's what I have going on for my winter crops. Lots of them are very tiny now, and we'll see which ones make it. But it's always a good idea to throw something in the ground, and it might surprise you and provide you with some fresh vegetables over the winter without having to go to the store. So thanks so much for tuning in and see what's going on in my garden, and I'll see you next time.